From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang and here are the news. The Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA on Thursday said that the two Filipino doctors who are members of Doctors Without Borders have crossed the Rafah border crossing and is currently at El Arish near the border and will then proceed later to Cairo. In an interview with DFA Undersecretary Eduardo Jose de Vega, the Undersecretary said that besides Dr. Darwin de la Cruz and Dr. Regidor Esguerra, there are 115 overseas Filipino workers or OFWs waiting near the Rafah border and are ready to leave anytime the border opens. De Vega said that Egypt is slowly accepting people from the Gaza Strip and will start with injured Palestinians that need immediate medical attention inside the enclave. According to Undersecretary De Vega, more 7,000 people want to cross the border but they cannot cross all at the same time. That's why the Egyptian government had a special arrangement wherein injured Palestinians and international organizations would be allowed to cross the border first. De Vega added that they are expecting the OFWs to cross the border within the next few days. The DFA Undersecretary earlier said that the situation is dire in Gaza Strip due to the lack of supply, especially food and water. Meanwhile, there were no updates as to the whereabouts of the two Filipinos missing in Israel, but De Vega said that they might be the two of the more than 200 hostages held by Hamas because they cannot be found in Israel.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news stories, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday urged Filipinos to reflect on everyone's purpose and to remember the courage of saints and the deceased. In his message for the observance of this year's All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, the President said the people's earnest obedience to the holy obligation throughout the centuries has given birth to the traditions that Filipinos carry until today. These traditions, he said, display the essence of the Filipino culture and give utmost importance to faith and family. Marcos said the observance of All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day allows Filipinos to reunite with their loved ones. Celebrated on November 1, All Saints' Day is a Christian solemnity dedicated to all saints, martyrs, and holy individuals, both known and unknown. On the other hand, All Souls' Day on November 2 is called the commemoration of the faithful departed, where people remember their departed loved ones along with their souls in purgatory. The Philippine National Police or PNP meanwhile remains on full alert for the Undas holidays following the recently concluded Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan Elections or BSKE. In a statement on Wednesday, PNP spokesperson Colonel Jean Fajardo said a total of 27,161 police personnel have been deployed to some 3,808 memorial parks, cemeteries, and columbaria to maintain peace and order, deter criminal activities, and respond to emergency situations. Fajardo said these police officers would be augmented by force multipliers and personnel from other law enforcement agencies. PNP Chief General Benjamin Acorda Jr. advised the public to remain vigilant in securing their homes as they travel for the observance and exercise caution in visiting crowded areas. He also encouraged all citizens to report any suspicious activities or individuals to the nearest police officers or through the PNP hotlines. As of 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning, over 828,000 visitors have flocked to various cemeteries nationwide based on the report of the PNP Monitoring Center. Region 1 or the Ilocos region recorded the most number of visitors at 277,000, followed by the National Capital Region at 222,000 and Central Luzon at 117,000. Meanwhile, Philippine Department of the Interior and Local Government or DILG Secretary Benjamin Abalos Jr. called on the public to keep the solemnity of the Undas holidays. He reminded the public to observe established rules while visiting the cemeteries, which include the ban on bringing deadly weapons and intoxicating drinks. Abalos said gambling, playing loud music, smoking or vaping, and staying overnight in the cemeteries are prohibited. The DILG chief also advised them to get the phone numbers of local public assistance desk which they can immediately call in case of emergencies. During his visit to cemeteries on Wednesday, Abalos commended the local government units of Manila and Caloocan City, the PNP, and the Bureau of Fire Protection for adequately preparing for the Undas observance despite their tight schedules due to the just concluded village and youth polls.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday visited the tomb of his father, former President Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr. at the Libingan ng Mga Bayani or LNMB in Taguig City. The President arrived at the LNMB accompanied by his wife, First Lady Luis Liza Araneta Marcos, and their sons, Joseph Simon and William Vincent. His mother, former First Lady Imelda Marcos, and sisters Senator Amy Marcos and Irene Marcos Araneta were also present. Also in attendance were supporters who welcomed the first family in the service, honoring the memory of the late president. The first family left the LNMB shortly after the Mass. No program was held. The Philippine National Police or PNP for its part announced the All Saints' Day celebration was peaceful and orderly with no untoward incidents reported so far.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news stories, Philippine House of Representatives Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez on Wednesday said the two-day official visit of Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida to the Philippines is expected to open new doors of collaboration that are mutually beneficial for the two countries. In a statement, Romualdez said the visit of Kishida and his wife Yuko to meet with President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on November 3 and his visit to the House of Representatives to address the special joint session of Congress on November 4 will mark another significant milestone in the strong diplomatic alliance between the Philippines and Japan. Romualdez said Kishida's visit is expected to cover a wide range of very important topics with focus on strengthening the excellent relations and exploring opportunities for the two countries. He said the Philippines and Japan are committed to turning the two-day visit into concrete collaborations that would not only strengthen bilateral relations but also contribute to global peace and prosperity. Earlier, Philippine Communications Secretary Cheloy Garafil said the president would lead the welcome rites for Kishida at Malacañang Palace and discuss with the Japanese leader the areas of mutual concern such as political, security, economic, and development cooperation as well as people-to-people ties. President Marcos and Kishida also met in Tokyo in February when the terms of reference on humanitarian assistance and disaster relief activities of the Japan Self-Defense Forces in the Philippines was signed. During his official visit to Tokyo in February, the chief executive also had an audience with Japanese Emperor Naruhito and Empress Masako, and the meetings with various business leaders and investors. President Marcos's Japan trip led to the signing of about 13 billion US dollars or 738 billion pesos worth of investment pledges expected to generate about 24,000 jobs for Filipinos. Kishida also pledged in February to provide 600 billion yen or about 4.6 billion US dollars in official development assistance and private sector investment to support the Philippines' economic development plan to become an upper middle income country by 2025.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines was ranked in the top 10 of the top global remote work hubs, which includes other ideal destinations in Asia, South America, and Europe. The World Economic Forum or WEF posted on Instagram the 10 fastest growing remote work hubs in the world based on the Nomad List, a platform where 10,000 plus members log where they are working. In the Nomad List, the Philippines was ranked as the 7th fastest growing remote work hubs this year. Tracking the country's 5-year growth from 2018 to 2022, the Philippines posted 78% growth. For 2023, it recorded positive 60% growth based on 10 months of data. Last year, it posted positive 1,183% growth. In the listing, destinations are ranked by growth rates of check-ins made in places by tens of thousands of Nomad List members using live data analyzing 299,498 check-ins. The primary rank is the most recent growth in check-ins. These growth numbers give travelers and workers an idea of the fastest growing remote work hubs and also show the current rank on Nomad List so they can gauge the popularity of the place. Nomad List finds them the best places in the world to live, work, and travel as a remote worker, collecting millions of data points every second on thousands of cities around the world from cost of living, temperature, to safety. The list put Ljubljana, Slovenia at 10th place, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam at 9th place, Hanoi, Vietnam at 8th place, Manila, Philippines at 7th place, Montevideo, Uruguay at 6th place, Penang, Malaysia at 5th place, Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia at 4th place, Seoul, South Korea at 3rd place, and Da Nang, Vietnam at 2nd place. Nomad List identified Tokyo, Japan as the fastest remote work hub in the world. The Marcos government has been enticing businesses to come to the Philippines considering the country's young, highly skilled, and English-speaking workforce. The Philippines is also ideal for business due to its sustained economic growth rate, current bureaucratic reforms, and the administration's ongoing thrust for infrastructure development and digitalization.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, the Philippine Commission on Elections or COMELEC on Wednesday reported that the city of San Jose del Monte or SJDM will not be converted into a highly urbanized city or HUC after more than 800,000 voters in the province of Bulacan turned down the measure. Based on the certificate of canvass of votes released by the poll body, a total of 820,385 voted no to the conversion, outnumbering the 620,707 voters who said yes to the measure. A total of 1,608,004 out of 2,092,248 voters in the province joined Monday's plebiscite, which coincided with the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan Elections or BSKE. Proclamation 1057 issued by former Philippine President Rodrigo Roa Duterte on December 4, 2020 converts San Jose del Monte City into an HUC and paved the way for the holding of the plebiscite. The proclamation was issued after the Sangguniang Panlungsod or City Council of San Jose del Monte through Resolution 2019-059-09 requested the Chief Executive to declare the city as an HUC. Under Section 452 of Republic Act or RA 7160 or the Local Government Code of 1991, the city with a minimum population of 200,000 inhabitants as certified by the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA and with the latest annual income of at least 50 million pesos based on 1991 constant prices as certified by the city treasurer can be classified as HUC. The proclamation earlier said the city has met the minimum requirements prescribed under Section 452 of RA 7160 for it to be classified as an HUC. San Jose del Monte, Bulacan's then largest town in terms of land area and population, was proclaimed as a component city on September 10, 2000 on the Republic Act 8797.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news stories, the Philippine Veterans Affairs Office or PVAO is focused on the redevelopment of the Libingan ng Mga Bayani or LNMB. According to Lieutenant Colonel Elenita Altamirano, the commanding officer of the Grave Services Unit of the Philippine Army, the PVAO has a 5-year modernization plan for the cemetery. Altamirano said that everyone needs to know that the LNMB is not only a military facility but also serves as a national shrine. A number of things that will be implemented in the cemetery is to build additional facilities in order to make it world-class, while other changes that will be implemented is still subject for approval by authorities. Crowd estimate at the LNMB was at 15,000, which is way below than the number of visitors last year. Altamirano said that the barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections or BSKE done last Monday and the long weekend where the public went home to their provinces were the reasons why there is a low turnout in the cemetery.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Philippine Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri said that if only Japan could take over the major infrastructure projects that was funded by China. Senator Zubiri made the remark in anticipation of Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's visit to the country on Friday, November 3rd. Prime Minister Kishida is expected to visit the Congress joint session on Saturday. One of the things that the Senate President wants to hear from Kishida's speech is advancing the Reciprocal Access Agreement or RAA in the country in order to allow Philippine troops to hold drills not only here but in Japan as well. The RAA will promote cooperation and interoperability between the two countries. Zubiri is also hoping that Japan would provide additional loan in order to take over botched projects that was supposed to be funded by China. The Senate President believes that they should allow Japan to manage these projects.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, we would like to invite everyone to come and visit our Facebook page at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our post as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Steph Vicente. Good day and stay safe, everyone.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila. Dateline Malacañang.